Yo, what is good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down this Week 10 NFL Draftkings Showdown slate between the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. Like I always do, I'm going to break down a couple of my favorite captain plays, some of my favorite flex plays, and then we'll wrap up the video taking a look back at the Week 9 snap counts for both of these teams, showing you who is and isn't getting playing time. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those Vegas odds, where you can see the Falcons are favored to win here on the road, sitting on a money line of minus 145 and 2.5 point favorites. And we got the over-under there as well, currently sitting at 42 points. And as always, I'll have these showdown stats from 2021 listed behind me, but let me pop on over to the other spreadsheet so you can read through these 6 stats a little easier. With all that said, let's dive into a couple of my favorite captain plays here for this showdown slate. Now, for those of you who are new to this channel, or at least new to this video, what I always do is list out a captain from both sides of the game. Now, I'm not entirely sure why I put Pitts above Marshall, considering he is cheaper, but we're going to roll with it here today. Starting on the Atlanta side, I like gambling on Kyle Pitts, and I know he's yet to have a massive DraftKings point game this year, but it's not due to a lack of opportunity. I know this is just a 1-week sample size, but just last week, he saw 208 air yards, which was 60% of the team's air yards. So he's getting the deep looks. It just so happens Marcus Mariota, not very good at throwing the deep ball. Let's just take a look back at the tape from last week to show you the opportunity that Pitts had thrown his way. Now, this is a 42-second video here, so bear with me, especially considering how cringy it is to watch Marcus Mariota, but again, Kyle Pitts getting a lot of opportunity thrown his way. So he kind of breaks off here, running the deep route, wide open, overthrown by Marcus Mariota. That's kind of me the case here with this entire video. Again, looking for the deep shot, and overthrown once again. This one was closer. It's almost in his hands, but not quite a catchable ball. And we got a few more plays here, folks, don't worry. Here we go again. Kyle Pitts running the deep route. Mariota throws it to him, and oh, would you look at that, overthrew him. Once again, we're going to wheel out. Nice little play here by Mariota. Whoop! Throws the deep ball, and this time he way overthrows him. So that's the type of opportunity Pitts is getting. If he connects on one or two of those plays, he could have himself a really big day. I gotta believe that's going to happen here at some point this season. Why not against this pretty bad Carolina Panthers defense? Now, I promise not to spend 2 minutes here talking about Terrace Marshall. We'll keep this one short and sweet because I do believe that DJ Moore is a good captain consideration as well. But being that Terrace Marshall is so expensive on this slate, and I can't really explain why, I think that will drive down his captain ownership. He's actually been pretty solid here since Robbie Anderson was traded to the Arizona Cardinals. Since that time, he's seen around a 21% target share, around 27% of the team's air yards, and he actually leads this Panthers team over the last 3 games with 5 end zone targets and 3 red zone targets, so the opportunity and volume is definitely going his way, and he's made the most of that. He hasn't looked bad at all, but considering he's so expensive on this slate, I think his ownership will come down a bit, and I'll take advantage of that in a good matchup against this Atlanta defense. Now, folks, if you could take a second here to like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. I got football content coming out for the remainder of the season, and for those of you who play NHL DFS or are into hockey, I got content coming out all year long for that as well. All right, now diving into these flex plays here, we're going to kick it off there with Cordarrelle Patterson of the Atlanta Falcons, and it's a really interesting setup right now in this Atlanta backfield. We're seeing them use all 3 running backs, CPAT, Algier, and Huntley. But there's one thing that remains true with CPAT. He is the goal line running back. We saw that last week where he had 3 carries from within the 5-yard line and scored 2 touchdowns. Now, the downside here is he only played around 40% of the offensive snaps and really hasn't been involved in the passing game this year. So, being that he is this expensive, it's hard to consider him in the captain spot, but being that he does have that multiple touchdown upside, I think there is a case to be made there if you want to play him in the captain spot. Otherwise, I like him in the flex, and I wouldn't be afraid to play both him and Algier in the same lineup, considering how much Atlanta loves to run the football. Now, honestly, I can't even believe I put Marcus Mariota on the spreadsheet here, but it was between him and PJ Walker, so yeah, this is where I ended up. Now, we could go the ultra contrarian route here, right? And play Baker Mayfield, who did come in at halftime last week against the Cincinnati Bengals because PJ Walker was so bad. Honestly, I don't think that would be crazy if we saw that happen here on Thursday night. So if you're playing in the Millie Maker, or what is it, the half Millie Maker now, I think that could be one thing that we do with maybe one of our lineups. I don't want to get too crazy, but if I had to just pick one of these quarterbacks, yeah, I'm going to go with Marcus Mariota. He's had the safest floor of the quarterbacks on this Thursday night game. So, while it's not a pretty play, it's the one I ended up with. Now, one guy I am certainly a lot more interested in rostering here on Thursday night is DJ Moore of the Carolina Panthers. Absolutely think he's a captain consideration, but will likely be one of the most popular plays on this showdown slate. But since that Robbie Anderson trade, the numbers have been phenomenal for him. He's seeing 51% of the team's air yards, a 31% target share, and actually decimated this Atlanta defense just back in Week 8 with 11 targets, 6 catches, 152 receiving yards, and scored a touchdown for 30.5 DraftKings points. Yes, I'm well aware a lot of that production came in the fourth quarter, but hey, needless to say, we know he can beat this defense, so at $9,200, I think he's a really solid flex play. Now, unfortunately, just like the Atlanta backfield, we're going to have some uncertainty here in this Carolina backfield on Thursday night, and that is because it looks like Chuba Hubbard is going to be back for the Carolina Panthers, but I don't mind playing him and Deontay Foreman in the same lineup like a Cordero Patterson and Tyler Algier type of lineup. I'm not saying we need to force ourselves into doing that, but it's not crazy to think that these guys could see a 60-40 split. And this Atlanta defense, not very good against the run, ranking 22nd overall in rush DVOA. The last time these two teams played, Foreman ran all over them for 118 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. And then I got Tyler Algier there of the Atlanta Falcons. Name dropped him a couple of times already. With Cordero Patterson back last week, Algier was still involved in this offense. In fact, him and CPAT actually split the same amount of snaps with 23 or 38% of the offensive snaps. In that time, he saw 11 touches, 10 rushing attempts, and 1 target for 123 total yards. So he played very well on limited volume. And this Carolina defense not very good against the run either, ranking 23rd overall in rush DVOA. We saw Joe Mixon just absolutely obliterate that defense last week. And no team loves to run the ball more than the Atlanta Falcons. Not crazy to think that both CPAT and Algier could see decent volume in this game. Again, I think there's a case to be made to roster both of them in the same lineup. Now, this next play here is 100% a boom-bust type of play. Damiere Byrd of the Atlanta Falcons. You're legit probably looking for him to score 1 long touchdown in order to meet value, and he's very capable of doing that, but just note there's a good chance he could end up with a goose egg on Thursday night as well. Now, he's currently playing around 50% of the offensive snaps, so he is on the field, and he's a speedster who has actually scored 2 long touchdowns here in 2 of his past 3 games. Back in Week 7 against the Cincinnati Bengals, he scored a 75-yard touchdown, and then Week 8 against this Carolina Panthers defense, he scored a 47-yard touchdown. So that's what you're banking on here. Don't expect 8+ targets or anything like that. You're legit looking for 1 or 2 long touchdowns in order for him to meet value at this price of $4,400. In fact, if he goes for 2 long touchdowns, you'll be sitting really nice. I then have Younghoe Koo of the Atlanta Falcons, and I have no problem playing either kicker here on this showdown slate. Koo is my preferred play just because I do believe that the Falcons are going to be able to drive the ball a little bit easier in this game, but I think Panero is 100% okay. Koo has yet to miss an extra point so far this year, and he's 4th across the NFL in field goal attempts, so the opportunity is definitely there for him. You know, Panero has only had 3 less field goal attempts than Koo, and has actually hit those at an 87.5% rate, so when he's getting the attempts, he's nailing most of them. So the kickers, being that there's only an implied total of 42 points there, both are in play. And then to wrap up this spreadsheet here, I got 2 players on the Carolina side of things who are certainly boom-bust type of players, value plays in the 3K range. It's a showdown slate. We need to find those guys every now and then, and I've highlighted a lot of Atlanta Falcons throughout the rest of the spreadsheet, so I kind of felt it was necessary to wrap this up on a Carolina note. We're going to start there with Shi Smith, wide receiver number 3 behind Marshall and DJ Moore. He's playing a lot, 84% of the offensive snaps last week, or actually 84% of the quarterback dropbacks, and I say quarterback dropbacks because, again, it was Walker and Mayfield, but he only saw 2 targets in that game, and he's had a lack of volume thrown his way all year long. So like I said, it's a boom-bust play. We know he's on the field, but will the volume go his way? I guess that is to be determined, but on a showdown slate, I certainly don't mind it considering the price and being that he is on the field. And then Tommy Tremble there is getting a little more volume thrown his way, has actually scored 2 touchdowns here in his past 3 games, but unfortunately didn't top 10 DraftKings points in either one of those games, so you're legit banking on him to score a touchdown here, and maybe he scores a 30-yard touchdown, he gets you that 10 DraftKings points, but at $3,200 here, if he does find the end zone, you should be sitting pretty nice as well. And then to wrap up this video here, want to take a look back at the Week 9 snap counts for both of these teams, again showing you who is and isn't getting on the field. I just talked about Shi Smith, I just talked about Tommy Tremble. Let's take a look at these guys here. Shi Smith played 39 of the 49 offensive snaps, ran a route on damn near every route that Marshall and Moore ran, so again, he's on the field. The volume just really hasn't been there. Same thing with Tommy Tremble. I actually like that he saw 4 targets last week. Isn't playing quite as much as the wide receivers, but when he's on the field, he is running a route. So that's what I like to look at here with these snap counts. Again, just getting an idea of who's actually playing and who's sitting on the bench. And then taking a look back at the Week 9 snap counts for the Atlanta Falcons, to no one's surprise, you can see the running backs are heavily involved. What I want to focus in on here is someone I didn't highlight on the spreadsheet, and that is wide receiver number 2, Zacchaeus. You can see here, he's playing quite a bit, running a lot of routes. Had a lack of targets last week with just 2, but they really don't throw to anybody outside of Drake London and Kyle Pitts. So it's another one of those plays like Damiere Byrd, boom-bust type of play where you know he's getting on the field, but will the volume go his way? Sometimes you got to take dart throws on guys like that, especially in large field tournaments or GPPs on these showdown slates. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money on this showdown slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.